Yes. Hi, everyone. I appear to be Maria Felipe, but I am a perfect child of God, as well as the amazing guest I will be interviewing today. She is a light worker, a channeler of the angels, which we're going to touch upon today, as well as a minister of A Course in Miracles. And you know that I do talk a lot about and interview a lot of people that are Course in Miracles related. So we're going to dig deep into that as well. She's also a speaker and a spiritual guide, and we are going to get down and happy with understanding more how to access our inner wisdom. So thank you, Stefanie Finn, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Thank
great
you for
to have you. Yeah, this all, give me 1 second. Babe, can you close the window because it's loud in the kitchen? I have my husband sitting in front of me, and it's like I hear like a tractor from the window. So this all began with an email you wrote to me because I had written in one of my emails in regards to really just diving deep with my prayer work and also asking Spirit for guidance. And you had written back to me, or you had written to me that you had a dream. So I wanted to know a little bit more about that. And this is how this kind of manifested.
Absolutely. Yes. So it was very simple. One night during my nightly dream, I was having a conversation with you, felt very loving and pure. And in the conversation, we were speaking about how we access or how we experience the Holy Spirit. And I was asking you in this dream experience what your experience was. And you didn't actually say anything, but I could feel, I could feel how it was that you experienced the Holy Spirit. Put it that way. I could just kind of feel something. It wasn't specific, but it was like a general knowing. And about 2 days later, I sent you an email, and your response was almost exactly as I had imagined it would be. So you had mentioned that to you, the Holy Spirit is the voice that, there's no judgment in it. It is pure kindness, pure love. Mm-hmm. So then I just thought, why don't I reach out and see where this goes? No expectations, no attachments. And I did. And so here we are in this interview. And then it was funny, this is a little example of how the Holy Spirit works, because to me, the Holy Spirit works on so many different levels, and as well as a very practical level. So you had given me 2 dates as like an interview option. And I heard a little voice say April 1st. You had said two, and I said, yeah, April 1st, this is it. So this is how another way that the still small voice within works on a very practical level.
Yeah, and what I love about this way of living, it's integrates a lot of trust and a lot of letting go and allowing, and really pretty much not making anything happen, but just do like little inspired things. And I love that is a beautiful reflection of how in life we don't need to continuously be searching or like, I got to make this happen, or this interview has to happen, or I want to get my message out there and I have to be, interviewed, or whatever that is. So it's just beautiful to kind of allow and be filled. I like to always say, be filled with wonder, like a little kid, in innocence, like, oh, I wonder, how this is going to work. And beautiful. I'm happy it worked out. A lot has happened. I've known you for many years now. I know at one point I was going to do something around where you live, which is it Canada?
Yes, Newfoundland.
Okay. Yeah. At some point I was going to go there, and then it didn't come through. And then I started to see that you started to step more into, teaching, and I've seen you evolve throughout the years. And then now there is, you're starting, well, you've done it for a few years now, channeling and writing books and such, and getting yourself out there. And how did this begin with you studying the course and then starting to channel the angels? I'm curious.
Yes. Well, I feel that A Course in Miracles, I guess, prepared me to a certain degree for the channeling project, or life I was preparing myself for, unbeknownst to me. So A Course in Miracles has played and continues to play a huge role in my life. And I started it in 2000, in the year 2000, 2001. I started with the workbook, and I was lucky enough to have a year off at that time. So I had really nothing to do except for do A Course in Miracles. And that's what I did. I dedicated a full year to the workbook. And then I continued on with it. Now, there were probably 2 years in the midst of all this that I really didn't give it a lot of attention. I got away from it. But for those 20 years, I have been, I would say, pretty dedicated, to doing the course. And as we know, doing a course is about applying it. So, I would really take the central thought, and I would work with it, and I would sit with it, and I would pull myself away from whatever it was I was doing, and just let the statement, or I call it the central thought, which is like the heading of every lesson. I would let the central thought work on my consciousness. That's how it works for me. That's working the workbook, letting it work on me. And also, of course, savoring and absorbing the truths that I was reading throughout my daily section. So I was doing this for a long time. And I would say that probably 6 years before I started working with the angels, I was really dedicated. Like 6 years, every single day of my life was with the course. So about 3 months before I actually received my first true, let's call it true visitation, because I'm sure they're always there with us at all times. I used to get up every morning, and I would walk into my living room, and I would say, God, use me as a channel for your peace. And I would not only say those words, but I would experience that. And I would just let my mind melt into God's mind, and I would release my thoughts, and I would do this. I mean, this was just something that I really began to apply and to do. And that was really it, really. The apex, I guess, of my, what will we call it, exercising, like really applying my letting go skills was really that. I would just walk in the room and let go of my thoughts. And
what was the affirmation again, or what is it that you would say? God?
I would say, God, use me as an instrument for your peace.
God, use me as an instrument of your peace. Okay,
Right.
I love that. That's very helpful. Okay.
Yes. And down the road a little ways, the angels said to me that it was during those moments when I receded and opened to their loveliness afoot. That was really the gist of it, was just, me receding, me getting out of the way. And I think A Course in Miracles was a journey of doing that. I think that's really ultimately what it is. Through forgiveness, we get out of the way so that Spirit can work through us. And so I'm going to kind of make the long story short, I guess. One night I was in bed asleep, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I was woken very suddenly by a voice that said to me, become the way shower. And that began a journey of 5 days in which I channeled 100 poems from the plains of distant shores where mighty angels reside. And this was it was a constant receiving of short sentences. And all I knew was that they felt profound. But my only job was to get up and start writing all these sentences down. And then the next morning I would get up and I would piece together the short sentences into stanzas. And then eventually the stanzas became poems. And then 100 poems became a book. And
wow.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was showing Christian your website, and one of the first things he wanted to see, and there's a lot of things to see and different tabs to touch, and he was like, let me look at the poems part. So
Right.
it's interesting how that called his attention, because he's very connected to source too, but I didn't know the story behind those poems. That's amazing.
Right. That was written in 5 days, the book.
Wow. That's amazing. And what is, for those that are new to this world, channeling, or people know the word and they're not sure what that is, what is it to channel, or what is a channeler?
Right. A channeler is someone who is divinely inept. Like, so you have to be 100% out of the way. Now, that's not to say that I'm 100% out of the way all the time, because I'm not. But during the times that I'm receiving information from the angels, from the Holy Spirit, from, various guides, I am out of the way 100%. And so I spend a very good part of my day in stillness. Now, it doesn't mean hours on end, but it does mean that I do take dedicated moments, and it could be 10 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, but I be still. I just release my thoughts. And I think the angels, I have received so much beautiful guidance from them since May of 2017. But the biggest message is release your thoughts.
Mm.
Because again, like I'm repeating myself, but they said it was in those moments when you receded and opened up to our loveliness afoot that they could register with us.
Yeah, that's very profound, because I feel one of the reasons that us as beings in this realm is that's why we suffer so much. It's because of our thoughts, how we value them, that we believe them to be true, that we believe them to be the truth about who we are.
Yes.
We buy into what I like to say the big deals, and we really believe that things are really happening and they're a big problem, and we even lose sleep over it. We get addictions because of it, and the list goes on and on about how depressive and fearful a being gets when it's identified with its thoughts. It doesn't surprise me that you began to this channeling experience after going deep with the coursework, because that's what the course does. It helps to release your mind from the egoic thought system more and more, so that way you can have a clear space of really connecting back to where we've never truly left. So I totally can see that happening, especially if you dedicate yourself so much to the undoing of the fear in your mind. And I get that you say it's not 100%, and you're not completely 100% out of the way. I get that, but it's very admirable and very honorable, and it's really an inspiration to us all that we can also do it too. It's beautiful. It really is.
Yes.
And let's get into the angels now. How does that start to play a role in the Course in Miracles? And I would, I want to know how that relates, and also how that works with the angels incorporation.
That's a great question, because once the angels, I started really working with them. This is a daily, like hourly process, really. And then after the book came, it still has continued to this day. So I just want to say, before I get into the answer, I have channeled over 350 full informational channels since this started back in May, in addition to another approximately 200 poems. So the poems are still coming, but even probably a little bit more than that. Or I shouldn't say more, but in a different way, in a different expression, are the full informational channels. So just to get back to what you were asking about, when this first started happening, I became very discombobulated, quite simply because I didn't know how this was all going to play out. I didn't really know what to do or how to handle it. So it really required a very deep level of me letting go again and trusting this process. The universe knew what it was doing. And a friend of mine helped me when she said, Stefanie, don't worry about, what this is going to look like or what you need to do. Just let everything happen. And so this really required a level of letting go that was beyond. But getting to the angels and how they work, so far, I have felt that it's been a perfect complement to A Course in Miracles. And I think probably 75% of the poems in my book have forgiveness laced throughout them. And I haven't talked to any course students who have actually, there was one person that told me. She said, I see a perfect, she said, I see that it's in alignment with the course. And that was very nice, to see that someone who was doing the course is actually enjoying and appreciating and perhaps, experiencing a compliment to the course with this work that I'm doing. But I don't sort of try to figure that out. I just let it be. I have to trust. But I very much feel, because I feel the angels use where you are. They use your current understanding. So the fact that I've done A Course in Miracles, they're going to use that. And I just want to say that in the beginning, when I was, beginning this journey, and the angels were telling me many things that I would do, like even in my future, for example, one of the things they said was, continue to do the course. They said, continue to read it every day, to do what it is asking you to do. They said, you can ask us anything, and we will give you the highest truth that is available in this moment. And it will be up to you to accept that truth in your mind so it can heal your mind. Because it's one thing to hear a truth, and it's another thing to actually accept it into your mind, to let your mind be healed. Because the highest form of healing is to hear a truth. We know that when we hear a truth, like when I'm speaking with you, and I've heard you speak, many times, and you have said something that saved me in that moment. You know what I mean? Like, by the way, that was one message that the angel said to me. Whenever you were saved by God. Right? So, like when you deliver a truth, it has impact. It is purely healing on every level.
Yeah, I think that spirit uses everything, and I would agree that it's complementary to the course because it works for you.
Right.
And I feel that is non-judgment. I feel that sometimes people really take the course very literal, and there's a lot of judgments involved of how it needs to look. Or it's like right now, Marianne Williamson is running for president. A lot of people, judge her because, supposedly the world is not real and this and that. For me, I'm very called by her. I think that, she's also a symbol for me. I think it's beautiful, the message she has. And what's going on with this judgment is the question. So I feel that each individual soul has their own curriculum, and there's a respect there and a love, and that's doing the course is kindness, it's love, it's allowing, it's, oh, you're doing it wrong, or the world is not real and that person's making the world real. It's like, hello, this is a course in miracles, a course in love. It's a course in, acceptance and meeting your brother where they're at. And I think it's beautiful that, this is working for you, and me as your sister, it's like, go for it full throttle. And it's so beautiful how the spirit's using that for you in your own healing as well, because as you teach, you learn. And it's using the symbol of angels, angelic angels. I mean, that's beautiful to be able to wake up more. Now, when we talk about angels here, Stefanie, is that like the traditional angels that we have been taught, like Archangel Michael and such? Are those the angels that you connect with?
Sometimes I have connected with Archangel Michael, and I have channels on my website that are from Archangel Michael. So my experience with Archangel Michael is that when he comes in, it's a very deep and profound love. It is a high love. That's the only way I can explain it. It's just this pure bliss. And when I experience the angels come in, for lack of a better way of explaining it, really, because it's really beyond words, but I experience it come in through the top of my head. So like down through my crown chakra, I feel it in my spine. And I light up with a love that is very profound. I can feel the frequency. It's a very high frequency. And the first time Archangel Michael came to me with a message, he didn't actually tell me it was him until the end of the channel, because I think he knew that I would be so excited that it was Archangel Michael that I'd be in the way. I'd be in the way of the channel. But yes, he has delivered some profound messages. And one of the things he said at one point was that enlightenment is a choice. And we're very lucky indeed when we make that choice. It is not some accolade that's given to certain people. He said it's a choice that we can all make.
I agree with you. I agree that we all have the access, and if you choose that, if you choose that, the thing is, especially with the work that I do and the things that I've experienced with people, is it really takes something to go on this path of awakening and undoing the egoic mind. And it's hard. And it's very difficult. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of consistency. You have to look at your stuff. You have to feel feelings that are very uncomfortable. And you know, I'm always encouraging people. That's why when I talk about, you know, live your happy, it's like really live and embody, which is what the course is calling us to do, is to embody the teachings, you know, at max capacity. And I feel that when you say it's a choice, it's true. And it's always like, I love to remind my brothers and sisters, including myself, it's like, it's my choice if I want to suffer at this moment right now.
Right.
And when I'm really in the thick of it, you know, it's, even though how much work I've done, it's just in that point, it's just trying to do your best. And we're always trying to do our best.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very much. You know, sometimes you're just absorbed in the suffering for whatever reason. You know, something is making you believe that you need to suffer, you know. And so it gets very much, it can be very thick, very dense. I've felt it many, 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 many times. And I understand 100% when people are suffering, I know exactly where they're coming from.
Let's go back to the angels again. So Archangel Michael, what other angels do you channel?
So ultimately, I think about, let's say 75% of the time, they come to me as one. So they call themselves the mighty angels, and they come as one. And they said to me, just open up your mind and let us soar from our mind into yours. Because there's only one mind. And so Archangel Gabriel has come to me a couple of times, Archangel Zadkiel, and of course Archangel Michael, but ultimately they come as one. And they call themselves different things. They call themselves the mighty angels. They call themselves the angels of the starry realms. And you know, a couple of other nicknames, shall we say.
I'm writing it down. Mighty angels, okay.
Yeah, it's all on my website as well. And they said that there were many of them. And the other, you know, and the Pleiadians have come to me too. And, you know, I just want to say, it's not that I was involved with some huge study of angels, because I really wasn't. I've believed, obviously, in angels, but I really didn't, you know, it's not that I had all this knowledge before this happened. I just want to say one quick thing. When I got up the very first morning, so you know, I've been actually working with angels for a long time, but I didn't realize it was angels, because they've been sending me messages for many, many years, and I just thought, and I've written them down, and I'm talking about like probably 400 one-sentence messages, but I didn't realize they were angels. It wasn't until May of 2017. When I was standing in the hallway outside of my bedroom, when I heard the words, "We, the angels of heaven, are here to help you now." And in that moment, I realized these are angels that are coming to me. I really didn't know it up until that point. And it was profound for me. I mean, I was really, really profoundly grateful.
Beautiful. Yes. Stefanie, what are the Pleiadians?
The Pleiadians are beings that reside in a star cluster. So they're like angels, you could say, but they are, I would call them guides. They are our celestial brothers and sisters, and they have come to me. I think I have 3 messages from the Pleiadians. Yeah.
I wanted to also get into a little bit in this next part about accessing the Course in Miracles says the Holy Spirit, accessing your inner wisdom. I feel that it's something that, and Christian and I have been talking about it, it's going to get more and more, I would say, popular as we start to evolve more. Because it is necessary for our evolving and waking up more that we begin to start tuning in and recognize that we have all the answers within us. And I feel like we're going to start to look outside for our answers, and people are going to be searching for this. I have this feeling about that. And I wanted to talk to you about, how do you tune in, just like you asked me, how do you tune into your higher wisdom, and possibly a couple of tips that you can give our viewers on how they can also connect to that intuitive voice. I already got one little tip from you, which is, God, use me. What was the affirmation that you
make me an instrument of your peace?
Yeah, and I'm going to start practicing that, because I am always looking for something to meditate with.
Right. Yes. And then, of course, for that to be followed by a conscious letting go I remember Raj used to say, we have to be willing to let go every last modicum of our thoughts and our emotions. Because it's only then that the Holy Spirit's voice can register with us. And to me, it's about being divinely inept. That was a statement that came to me recently from the angels, divinely inept. So it's about being willing to know nothing.
I love it. Be
Yeah.
willing to know nothing. And
Right.
how do you how does, let's say, an ordinary person that hasn't had the experience of channeling
Yeah.
or asking spirit, what would you recommend?
You mean just, okay, so if you wanted to go to connect with your higher self, let's
Higher
say,
self.
higher mind, yes, yeah. I would say to take time every day to be still. Just release your thoughts. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. You don't have to do it for like an hour, but let yourself do it for even for 5 minutes. Take the time, turn everything off, all your electronics, and just take that time and sit and release your thoughts, even if it's for 3 minutes. And
What
then, yeah,
what began to help me is that practice. I feel it's as when you go to the gym and you work out consistently, you start to see results
right.
in your physical body. It's the same thing with your mind and the connection of spirit in your mind. It's just if you have constancy of every day or consistency sitting. And also something that really helped me through my ministerial program at Pathways is that the whole curriculum, I needed to sit down with spirit and give over all my big deals, give over everything that I'm making real, and ask spirit, what is really real here? And I would do that for 3 years. And sometimes I would journal, Stefanie, and I would write, nothing's coming. I'm frustrated. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I would start writing, and then all this beautiful flow would come through me. And as I started to do this more and more, I began to get more and more connected. And then I let go of the journal. And then now consistently I'm just asking and receiving. But of course it was a process. There was years of work to get there. Yes. So it's very similar to what you're saying. And I feel that we underestimate the value of silence and meditation. And it's free. It's so valuable. I'm very inspired by my husband Christian right now, because he's meditating every morning for 1 hour and at night 1 hour. And that's very honorable, because most of us, it's hard for us to sit for so long. But my commitment is every morning I at least meditate for 5 to 10 minutes, just to keep myself connected to my source.
Right.
What is exactly like a reset? What is your spiritual practice?
I get up in the morning. I don't touch anything in terms of electronics when I first get up in the morning. And usually when I first get up in the morning, my first thing is I go and get a coffee, and I sit down and I light a candle. So it changes a little bit. Okay. So sometimes I grab the course and I read my section. I read a section every single day. I'm in the middle of the textbook now. So I'll read my section, I'll contemplate it and just absorb it. And then I will meditate with a sentence in my mind. So I usually let a sentence emerge for me from the course. And that becomes my central thought. Like, I use the text as I would the workbook. I don't know if you ever heard of that. You probably have heard of doing that, if you know what I mean. So I kind of work the textbook like I would work the workbook. So I take that sentence and I let it work on my mind. Spirit said to me one time, hold the thought in your mind, because it's like working a muscle. It's like holding a muscle. It gets straight. Like the longer you hold it, the better it works, right? So the longer you hold a message in consciousness, the better it's working on the unconscious guilt. Right. And it's like it's burning away the unconscious guilt. That's kind of like the way I see it. So that's the way I experience it. That's what I do. So I take the sentence into my meditation and I let it work on my mind. And then I find my mind then just letting go of all that thought. And my mind lets go of that thought and just becomes absorbed into the void. And now, since I started channeling, what happens, it's not just the void anymore, which, of course, as we know, the void is filled with love and light and bliss. If we hang in there long enough, right, to actually let it fill up our mind, we will experience that love, light, and bliss. But now what happens is I begin to feel the angels come into my mind. Because the angel said to me, just open up your mind and let us soar from our mind into yours. So they work with me. As soon as I'm open, they begin to work with me. So then a channel.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So then I start hearing words because they're telling, I share a channel every day on Facebook.
Yeah, I looked at that on your website. We're going to be putting your information on the description. And speaking about channeling, would you be open to channeling something here?
Now that's something I have done it a couple of times, but generally speaking, I am what you would call a written channel. So I would, for example, you would say to me, okay, Stefanie, I'd like, for you to channel for me. So what would happen is I would sit in silence and that channel would come through. And then I would send you the email of the channel. Like I've only done a verbal channel several times. But if I hear anything, we don't know what can happen. So it could happen. And I will know if it happens because I will feel it.
Yeah. Yesterday, speaking about that, yesterday when I was, Christian was having a hard time in regards to, well, the whole day he was kind of not in his center, and he's usually very kind and gentle, and he was very just mean. Just a little mean. And later on, it was wonderful how he told me, he sat with me and he said, I've been mean because I've been having, conversations about money, and I'm concerned about our family and, in my income and things like that. And I always, before when I was pregnant, I was channeling what I call hoodlum Jesus. And I would just tune in and I would just have like this rapper type of being or voice come through me. And he would ask me questions and I would share with him. And hoodlum Jesus is very funny. And that's why we call him hoodlum Jesus, is because he's like from the hood. And yesterday he was having a hard time, and I haven't channeled hoodlum Jesus since I gave birth. So it's been a year. And he says to me, I go, well, because I wanted to make him feel better. I said, well, you want me to channel hoodlum Jesus? And he goes, yeah, let's do it. So he turned off the TV, and it's beautiful, Stefanie, how I just closed my eyes and the words just were coming through effortlessly. And I can sense what gave me a lot of emotion and made me cry is how deeply connected he is to God, and how the whole money thing is just a distraction. But what he really wants is this really deep, deep, deep. I mean, it goes beyond. I can't even describe it in words how it felt, but he wants to be connected to God. This is why he meditates 2 hours a day.
Right, absolutely. Yes.
So it's just beautiful to be able to have that confidence in myself and to let go and be playful and get out of my own way and just allow this beautiful message to come through me for my love, for my husband, and for me to start to have confidence that, oh my God, I can channel, because I don't do that. That's not something I say I do. But when I discovered that, I was like, wow, I have such a connection. So
I just want to share what the Spirit said to me. I think it was last week, or I can't remember when. It doesn't really matter. Spirit said there is no such thing as money. There is only love.
Christian, she says there's no such thing as money. There's only love. She channeled recently.
Interesting, because it's the same thing I heard in the podcast today.
She can't hear you. You want to come here?
I can hear.
Okay.
And so what I sort of played around with myself, and I also suggested to a couple of people, next time you have an issue with money, replace the word with love. Replace the word money with love.
Hi, Stefanie.
Hello there. Don't you look different?
Yes.
He cut his hair.
Cut my hair.
Look beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, I was just sharing. To me, it was a very profound message. I've received a couple of channels about money, about him, but that was the simplest one.
Yeah, it's interesting because today I listened to a podcast when I dropped Aria for our baby. I listened to a podcast by John Burgess or something like that. He's also interviewing a lot of people around channeling and things like that. And there was also a lady who channels the Pleiadians, and they were talking about money too. And the Pleiadians said, "Well, money is it doesn't really exist either. You know, it's just the level of love that you have for yourself. That's where you're allowed to give yourself. So that's
what you just said right now.
So
what was it?
For example,
yeah.
There is no money. There's only love.
There's only love, yeah. There is no money, there's only love.
And so I suggested to a friend of mine and to myself, I suggested it to myself too, that anytime you have an issue with money, just replace the word money with love. And it's really kind of fun, and it's very impactful.
That's really good.
If you say I don't have enough money, what you're really saying is I don't have enough love. Right? That's that's the belief. So then we can bring the belief up and heal the belief at its source.
Interesting. That's a really good thought. We're gonna do that next time. We're gonna go wherever we're gonna go, and just when that comes up, and just replacing, because it's such a simple concept, you know.
It is.
I really like that,
yes.
And it makes things. It brings things to the surface.
It really does, because that's really what's going on, right?
I know that we're gonna wrap it up here, but I know that Christian really is mesmerized with the Pleiadians. So do you have anything to share with Christian about the Pleiadians? Aren't you reading a book about that right now? Or you have?
Yeah, reading the Pleiadian workbook.
He's reading the Pleiadian workbook right now. He really, yeah.
I have a channel I'm going to send you if you like when we get off the air from the Pleiadians. It was I can't remember, maybe 3 weeks it came through. I'll just send it to you, see what you think.
Yeah, I'd love to, and I feel I have a very strong connection with them too. So the only reason why I haven't been channeling more myself is because I feel, you know, I need to provide for the family and blah blah blah. So I'm like, fear is keeping me trapped in these worldly, mundane things like creating a website or building an agency. You know what I mean? But if I
understand exactly what you mean, because that's how the ego gets us, right? By by making these suggestions to us.
Yeah, but if I really just like love myself, I would just leave all of that aside and do what is joyful, what is exciting, you know?
You know what Spirit said to me one time? It came in a poem, and it said, whenever your bank account tells you that you have no money now, instead of interfering, F-E-A-R-I-N-G, go to God somehow. This takes light and courage, but it can be done. Watch how. You'll find your way to oneness. You'll do it. Yes, you can. And as you shift from fear to love, a miracle will land. When the miracle and the miracle and the inside reflects the one without, you will have no fear, and there will be no doubt. So banish all your thoughts of lack and lean and fear. Money is coming to fill your life. It's coming now. It's here.
Wow.
So it's like the miracle and the inside will show you a miracle on the outside, if you know what I mean. But the miracle and the inside has to come before the money shows up. Right?
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
Thank you so much, Stefanie, for this time. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful video. I'm sure you were hearing that we covered so many beautiful things.
Yeah.
And thank you for your time. And hopefully at some point we can really make it happen next time, that we can go over there and share some of the happiness message with your community.
It'd be awesome. And are you going to be going to New York?
I will.
Sorry, not New York, Boston?
Yes.
I'm going to be there as well.
Wonderful.
I'm going, so hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, we'll see you there. Christian will be there on Sunday with a baby.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet you on Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, Stefanie, thank you for everything. Any last thoughts?
No, that's it.
All right.
I'll be an instrument. Oh, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace.
Oh, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Thanks for the reminder again. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
God bless.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and my guest, Stefanie Finn, as well as this impromptu, spontaneous meeting with Christian being on the interview today. And we're so grateful for you. If you have received any value from this interview, I invite you to please make your donation. The description of that information is on the description of my PayPal, so that way it supports my ministry. Also, you can find Stefanie. All of her information is going to be on my description as well, so you can check out her work and see if it's something that calls you. All right, everyone, have a great day filled with love and light. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.